My name is Stewart Burton. I'm 32 years old. I live in Petersburg, West Virginia, and my interests are I like sports, I like four-wheeling, listening to satellite radio, and I like working out. I was first diagnosed with ADD in 1992 at the by the Kluge Center at the University of Virginia in Charlottesville, Virginia, and I've pretty much throughout school I was an ADD student, and I was in special ed classes. Oftentimes I'd be sitting in a class, not paying attention, looking out the window and stuff like that, and the teachers were like, "Brandon, you need to pay attention more," and I was just getting terrible grades, so finally they just said, you know, something's wrong with you, you need to go get checked out, and so we did, and we referred to the Kluge Center in Charlottesville, and that's how I knew I was ADD. Well, I was probably, let's see, I'm willing to say 7.
Okay.
Oh, it made a huge difference, because then I was able to get the right accommodations I need, and get hooked up with the right people. I ended up with this one teacher. He was just wonderful at working with students. And another thing is, I had a lot of problems with my temper in school, and he was really able to help me get a lot of that under control. You know, and he was just good with the kids. His name was Mr. Dishman, and he would take us out to play basketball during recess and stuff like that, and he was just a wonder to have as a teacher. Autism, I've always viewed autism and ADD kind of is the same thing, so they've pretty much been a factor throughout my entire life. So sometimes, like, I'll be in here talking about certain things to my mom and Rick, and I just get so over emotional about certain topics that I don't always have the ability to sit and listen to how they're perceiving it or understanding what I'm talking about, and that sometimes causes misunderstandings. I'll be honest with you, I don't really consider myself having autism. I'm more ADD, at least that's what the doctors have told me. Everybody has kind of got to understand what ADD is and what it isn't, so that they can understand why that particular person may be behaving the way they are. And another thing is, you know, if people tell you you're weird and stuff like that. I got picked on a lot when I was in school. You know, I would tell them to just not worry about it. You know, I mean, life. You know, I would tell them just to have confidence in themselves. Well, I mean, they need to obviously know to advise the parents to get the child checked out and make sure they get them the right accommodations and everything. And as I said earlier, that's another thing we need to do more to educate educators about what ADD is and how to spot it. Obviously, lack of focus, and then a lot of times we tend to get emotional, and a lot of times I have a lot of habits. I've had a lot of nervous habits, and then I'll have certain habits that I'll get into when I'm bored and stuff. Like my mom constantly gets on me for my finances. My finances are horrible, and a lot of that is just I do it to fill that void in my life, to get that stimulation. And that's another thing where I do urge parents and people with ADD to seek treatment, because a lot of times ADD people can end up on drugs and stuff like that if those things aren't taken care of. Well, three things. Number one is be understanding with the kids. And number two is always be willing to always be there for them, and be willing to go that extra mile to help them understand things, and just develop patience. Sometimes they may take longer on tests and stuff, and sometimes they might get a little rowdy. Yes, I had a lot of when I went into my special ed classes, we had a whole group of kids that were ADD. And a lot of times those special ed classes were just designed because ADD people could focus better in a smaller environment. So the special ed classes were designed to kind of get us out of the regular class and put us with a teacher that could work with us, individually. Yes, I loved it a lot, because you developed a lot more of a personal relationship with the other students and the teachers. I lived in Virginia. I lived down in Culpeper. One of the reasons that I moved up here is because the schools were a lot worse, because the population was a lot bigger. The schools were overcrowded, and therefore the teachers had a lot less time with the students. Teaching the child how to deal with his or her disability comes into play. Well, I've definitely had to do it a lot at work. I've had to tell my boss and supervisor that I have this disability or that disability, so it may affect my ability to do certain jobs. And sometimes in school there have been times where I've had to speak up. I've had to say, make sure you give me this much time on tests or that much time on tests. More now so than there was when I first started school, and because back then there wasn't as much knowledge about ADD nowadays, and people just kind of thought that there was something wrong with you, and that's another thing that ADD people have to overcome is, there are certain stigmas attached to it. Well, people may think that, you're dumb or not given any effort, stuff like that. I'm happy, you know. I've learned that sometimes, being content with life is, always a good thing. There's always people that have it worse than you. You know, I always try to believe that we all each have our own special gifts in destiny, and I pretty much try to work along those lines. And the biggest thing is too, I always try to stay positive no matter what happens. Well, I mean, I just want to say that I just hope this interview will help me enlighten other people on ADD, what it is, and what sort of challenges are associated with it, and how they can help other people that are ADD get through those challenges. And I would also like to, I also hope it gives more hope to anybody else who's ADD out there.